note to everyone in the room. Samir just told me that they've crossed the 447 million user mark with a 50% market share, which means one in every two Indians who uses a digital payment app is on PhonePe. And we actually see this every day, Samir. Whichever auto we take or, whichever roadside vendor we go to, they all seem to be having PhonePe. So what does it feel like, as the person who built this app barely, 7 years ago?
Thanks, Chandra. First, let me just say thanks to you and to the team here for having invited me. Thank you, everyone. It feels really exciting. I think we're very, very proud of the journey, the distance we've covered, the journey we've had. We launched only in 2016, so shortly after UPI had launched, and it's been a very, very eventful journey. We've seen demonetization, we've seen COVID, we've seen UPI go from an idea to becoming one of the most prolific payment networks in the world. Now everyone globally is talking about the Indian digital payment story. When we started out, everyone was talking about whether India would have a digital payment story. So it's been a ride, and it's happened here in Bangalore.
Yeah, in fact, let me come to that. You grew up in Mumbai.
So I'm a naval officer's son, so I grew up wherever the Navy took him. I was born in Bombay. I spent my pre-teens in Delhi, in Noida. So I get the Delhi part of it. Then I moved in 1990 to Bombay, so I went to college there. And then after about a decade abroad, moved back. I was working on a venture with my co-founder Rahul, based out of Bombay, and then we got acquired by Flipkart. So the running joke is I've sold 2 different companies to the same founders there.
No, but, tell us about, in the previous session, we saw Mohandas Pai talk about Bengaluru, and with all its pitfalls, he said that, it continues to have wonderful people who care about the city. So from a startup and entrepreneurial lens, what is it about Bengaluru that it continues to attract a lion's share of the technology talent in the country? The, conclusion is that if you need to build a startup, if you need talent, Bengaluru is the place to be, despite the traffic and the flooding and all its issues.
So I can actually draw a perfect parallel from my childhood. In the 1990s, when I moved to Bombay, we were one of the first early dwellers in a place called Hirandani in Bombay, which is now one of the more celebrated communities. My wife was from a place called Bandra. People from Bandra, who 30 years before that nobody from South Bombay would go to, used to come for picnics to Powai, where I was living. And this was where IIT Bombay was. And everyone used to talk about how bad the infra was. So a lot of this conversation is surreal. I used to have to actually bribe rickshaw drivers 50 rupees from Andheri station in Bombay to my house, which is about 8 kilometers away, because that was the insurance for the wheel that they were certain they were going to break. It's not very different if I see where Bangalore is at today on the outer parts. So what Chandra didn't mention is I've been living here for about 11 years, and when she told me the events at the Lalit Ashok, I didn't actually know where it was. I thought she's talking about an event in some other city. Because I live in Outer Ring Road, so I know all of the places in Kormangla, Bilandur, HSR. I come this side of town because of traffic and work, maybe once or twice every few months. And I think Ravi used the word urban sprawl. Bangalore has the kind of urban sprawl that Bombay actually saw when New Bombay and other parts of Bombay were coming up. We're going through the same journey. So is it perfect? No. Is it easy to actually commute? No. I think what ticks for Bangalore, first, best weather in the country. Maybe outside of the Northeast, but best weather in the country.
Does everyone agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's not even close.
A big thumbs up for that then.
That's one. Second, I think the startup ecosystem benefited because the IT doyens of the industry had actually set up a technology pathos in the city. So if you see the evolution again, 80s, 90s, early 2000s was the IT industry. Then the B2B enterprise companies came in. When I joined Flipkart, there's maybe a couple of hundred employees there. Ola started maybe a year after. I mean, the lane in Kormangla where we used to be at, startups that came in afterwards wanted to be in that lane because Flipkart happened there, right? So it's a very young ecosystem. The second thing, again, in startups, you need a lot of young talent. Young talent will typically sort of involve economic migrants. Bangalore lucked out. Somebody actually was sort of prophetically put the airport 50 kilometers away in one direction, Electronic City in the other. So you have residential availability for young people in Bangalore in a way that Bombay can't dream of right now. Bombay's price inelastic from Nariman Point down to Thane on one side and Virar on the other. In Bangalore, when we moved our startup, and even right now when we move people from Bombay, people find the cost of living so much more affordable.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, per square foot, whether you're renting or you're buying, it's cheaper. And I think that's important because people who are working 50, 60 hours a week need to be able to go back home and at least be able to relax. So I think Bangalore's got the housing scene sorted out. In fact, on a normal day, I genuinely believe the city has more supply than demand on housing, which is a fantastic place to be if you're growing for the next 20 years. And I'd say the third is we finally have a full ecosystem. So when Flipkart was starting out, at least when I joined them in 2011, the city didn't have enough designers. It wasn't, Bombay was the arts capital. It didn't have enough product managers. We are building fintechs today. Where was the financial services ecosystem was non-existent. Now we have the best of talent across every sector in the country here in Bangalore. And I think there's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you have that ecosystem, it's very, very hard for any startup to be able to actually scale in other cities, because the minute you reach some scale, you need 400, 500 really smart people. They want to be here. It's affordable. The weather's fantastic. The food is great. There's good nightlife. These are all the things that young people want.